welcome back to the Member Solutions Business Tip of the Week. This is the video where we give you one new way each week to grow your business by building a strong community. In these videos, we talk about ways for you to save time, market your business, improve your financial management, and other tips to help you grow your business and your community. Today, we'll be talking about testimonials.
Yes, great subject.
Yes, and Kristen and I have talked about testimonials a bit recently because it's a commonly asked about topic by our clients. So we wanted to take some time today to delve into the topic in a little more detail.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of clients that I speak with, one of their number one goals is generally to up their marketing game. So one of the easiest ways you can do that and the fastest ways is by obtaining testimonials. So I'd love to pick your brain today and just kind of go through the process a little bit. I know we do it here, but I would love to just kind of, go through it all step by step and just talk a little bit more about, first, why anybody should get testimonials for their business.
Sure, absolutely. And a lot of business owners probably already know this, but testimonials are so powerful because they offer social proof to your potential customers. So getting scientific for a second, studies have shown that people tend to make purchase decisions based more on emotion than actual logic or data that they're given about the business, the products, the services. So that means that when you're in the process of attracting a new member to your gym or your martial arts studio, you're actually trying to create an emotional connection with them. And what they're looking for is some proof that other people have seen good results, other people trust you in your business, and that they're going to be able to see those same results and be happy and reach their goals with you and your business. So testimonials are perfect for doing exactly that. And they make your life a whole lot easier because then other people are offering that proof for you firsthand, and it makes marketing a lot easier for you. And then the other reason that I think sometimes gets overlooked with testimonials, but another great reason to do them outside of marketing is for the feedback. So you can learn a lot about what your current customers might enjoy about your facility or your staff or your programs that you might not have known before. You might find some surprises in there of things that they love that you didn't even think about trying to market to your prospects. And so that can also help you attract new people by talking about those things that your current members already really like about your business.
It's a very good point, actually. Beyond the social proof and adding the human element, it does help you uncover what people enjoy about your business. Yeah, it's a very good point. And so now that we know why we should do it,
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the different types of testimonials that martial arts and fitness business owners should try to solicit from their members?
Sure, absolutely. Now, when you say the different types, I assume you probably mean the different formats. But
yes.
I think,
yes.
and I'll talk about that, but there's also, there's another concept in there for different types of testimonials, meaning different parts of the experience with your facility. And so that's another way to look at it. But first of all, the three main ways you can get testimonials are video, which would be your number one option, because that's really the best social proof. Again, what I said before about creating that emotional connection, this is another thing that people in marketing and social science have studied pretty closely. And having someone on video, you can hear the tone of their voice, you can see their gestures, the emotion on their face, and that has more of an impact and creates more of a connection with your prospect than just a written testimonial. So that's why video is most effective. It has the best conversion rates. People remember it longer than they do just reading something. So that's your number one option right there. But absent that, testimonial videos can be a little more challenging to get sometimes. they take a little more coordination. The person has to be willing. Some people get nervous on camera.
I have
So
no idea what that's like.
hey, you're doing a great job. But, sometimes it's just not possible to get someone on video in that moment, but they're still willing to give you a testimonial. So the next option that I always recommend would be audio. And what you tell them is basically, I'm going to record this so that I don't have to talk notes, so that I don't have to take notes. So we can just focus on the conversation we're having, and I'll have this recorded so that I can use it verbatim, so that I can quote you perfectly. And that's how I always explain it. And it works great for that, because you can take that audio and you can do two things with it. You can share the audio itself, and you can actually, if you want to get creative, you could even pair that with some images, put together what kind of feels like a slideshow of, maybe you have some images of your martial arts classes, maybe even with the person who's giving the testimonial or the student, that you could pair with the audio, so that there's at least some type of visual element to it, even if it's not the actual video of them speaking. And then you're still getting the tone of their voice, any excitement in their voice, which can still be really valuable and add that personal element. And then the third format would, of course, be written, which, again, I'd highly recommend. If you can just record the audio, then you're going to get that perfect written testimonial out of that. And if you're having a full-blown conversation, you can cherry pick quotes out of it that are particularly meaningful. Maybe they talked about the impact that your martial arts program had on their son or daughter, and you want to share something specific that they said about how they're able to pay attention more in class now. And you want to use that specific quote. That's a great thing to pull out and put right into the content on your website where you're talking about your kids' programs. Or you could also take your full-blown conversation and turn it into like a success story, and say, little Johnny joined us when he was 5. He's now 10, and he's been doing this for 5 years. And here are all the benefits that he's gotten throughout his, kind of growing up in our program.
Right.
And that kind of tells a bigger story as well. And just quickly to touch on the idea of, beyond those technical formats of video, audio, and written, you also can think about different points in the process. So the experience for new members, so let's say someone just joined your gym and they've been to maybe their first week of classes. You don't necessarily have to wait until they've been a member for months or years to try and get that testimonial. Go ahead and right off the bat say, how was your experience signing up with us? How's your first week been? What's the vibe you're getting from our instructors and the other people in our community? I want to hear about that, because that's what prospects are concerned about as well. What's my first day going to be like? What's my first week going to be like? So give them a glimpse of that. And then, later down the line, come back for another testimonial at a different point in their experience with you. So there's really a lot you can do as far as formats.
So in terms of format, I'm hearing video, audio attached with a photo of some sort, and then also a written, which you could always pull from either of those, or
Correct.
just a written one. But I'm also hearing that even more important than that is being sure that you have a good assortment of them throughout the life cycle of the member. And also you kind of hit on something about, school focus. That's a super valuable one to have, especially during this back to school season. And then pretty soon we're going to be coming up on October, which we know is bully awareness month, bully prevention month, sorry. And, it'd be nice to have something like that where you can kind of couple with your marketing campaigns as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to think about it. And you can have those specific focuses in mind so if you're planning your marketing calendar for the year, right? And you have these milestones and holidays and different campaigns that you want to run throughout the year already on your calendar. Think about testimonials with that. and try to plan out maybe a couple weeks in advance. Here's when I'm going to run a quick campaign to solicit some testimonials. Maybe I'll offer a little incentive, and maybe I'll even plan to ask particular people that I think will be a good fit for this topic.
Right. And that makes sense. And that was actually going to kind of roll into my next question
Yeah,
is like, when's the best time to ask them and how do you ask them? And do you offer incentives? Do you,
right.
because a lot of time people feel very uneasy for whatever reason about, to ask for testimonials
Yeah.
for their business. And in my mind, I think it's one of the easiest things to ask for because
Mhm.
the worst somebody can say is no thanks. But if
Right.
you never
Right.
ask, you'll never have it. So with that being
That's so
said, what
true.
is the best way to ask?
Mhm.
And should you offer incentives?
I I think there are a lot of ways to do this, and I don't think there's any wrong way. So people are probably using various techniques or strategies, and those are all great. Um, what I like to think of it as is there's no wrong person to ask for a testimonial, and there's no wrong time. Basically, ask anyone anytime something good happens. um, that's a simple way to think of it, but really you want to try and catch people at those moments where they are happy with the results that they're getting, or they're happy with your facility and the experience they're having with you.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as they just had an awesome class. I mean, they just rocked it. For whatever reason, they were just on. The lesson was sinking with them, and you could tell it was on their face. They're really excited about it. That's the
Mm-hmm.
right time to ask, and that's the right person. Um, and I think the way to ask in those scenarios is to congratulate them and say, hey, I noticed you were really into it. I'd love to share with other people in our community how you felt about it and what you've been able to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on their experience, ask for their feedback, and it will be much easier that way. And that conversation goes so much better than when you say, hey, can you take 5 minutes to give me a testimonial? And not that that doesn't work. It certainly does. Um, but I think when you flip it around and you start talking about them, they'll get more excited about it. And you'll end up with this glowing testimonial that will really do good things for your business and for them. So,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Ask when people are happy.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
celebrating milestones. Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
attach to that rock
Um,
star status. Yeah.
One other time you can ask that I think a lot of people don't think about is when they've actually just made their purchase. So when they've just decided to become a member, you know, what was that process like? What were our salespeople like? Because that's something that prospects get apprehensive about as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, assuring people that we weren't pushy, we tried to pair you with the right program. You seem really happy about it. You just signed up, you're excited. That's a good point to have that conversation as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. So I mean, now that we kind of know when the best times are to approach,
Yeah.
and I know this might vary based on the situation, right? So you'll have to kind of adjust. But what is there like a standard set of questions that you might want to ask when you're asking or talking about a testimonial with somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a standard set that I have kind of saved that I'll go back to usually. And you're right, it will change based on the person and their experience. It's always best to look at their background with you or them as a person and decide what's going to be best in that scenario. But I do have a standard set that works pretty well for getting people to open up and talk about their real experience and the impact that you've had. And so those questions for me are, what struggles were you facing, or what challenges were you facing before you became a member, became a client, before you joined our facility? And that gets to the heart of the reason why someone would be looking for your business in the first place. So it kind of very quickly identifies, this is why this is the core benefit of coming to our business. We're going to solve this particular problem for you. And then the flip side of that question is, what are the results that you got by joining our facility? And then they can say in their own words, how they solved those problems and the goals they've been able to achieve because of joining. From there, there's a few other questions that are sometimes good to ask. I mean, those are probably the core two, and the other ones just really build off of those. So the next ones you could ask, if you hadn't joined our facility, how would you have achieved those goals, or how would you have overcome those challenges? And you might get an answer like, I don't know. I don't think I would have overcome them, which is perfect for a testimonial. It really positions you as the expert and the best solution. And then other things you can ask might be, what's your favorite thing about your membership or about our facility? What surprised you about being a member or about our community? And that's where you can uncover those things that maybe you should be using in your marketing that you didn't know about. There could be things that really surprise you about it. Like maybe I love the new friends that I've made. And here you've been talking about in your marketing all the other benefits of your program, but that's just one you hadn't mentioned. You knew it happened, but you didn't maybe know how important it was. And then you can bring that to the surface.
Sure, and that's where you can start kind of noticing trends too, like you were mentioning earlier on, is through that
Yes,
process.
absolutely. You do enough of these and you begin to get a really good feel for what are the most important things to people and what
Sure.
makes you stand out too from your competition.
Mm-hmm.
And the last question that I would ask would be, who would you recommend our services for? And that will tell you right there. That's a really good trigger for people who are watching it to know if they're in that same category. So maybe this is moms with elementary school kids. I'd recommend this for any child of this age, or anyone who wants to lose weight, or what have you. And any number of things could be the answer to that question.
It makes sense. A lot of good info there. I mean, so now that we know, why we should get it, the formats, having all that, the best way to approach it, what questions to ask. Now that I have all this information allocated, how and where is the best way that you suggest that they're used?
There are so many ways to use testimonials. This question really could have endless answers, but I think there are some places where you need to use them. One of those places is your website. You should ideally have a reviews page. That's something that people commonly search for. And if they don't find it on your site, they are definitely going to go elsewhere. So it's best to create that on your site where you can cultivate that yourself. It's great to also put testimonials on the pages that are talking about your programs. And that's where you'd want to use those specific ones. So on your page about your kids programs, put a couple of quotes from parents or even from the students themselves about the benefits they've seen. So that's something you really need to do, put it on your website. Outside of that, social media, definitely. Whatever your main channels are, I'd highly recommend, if you can, create something of a regular schedule, whether it's monthly, quarterly, whatever works for you, especially starting out, to try and do that. They're great for ads. So if you're running Facebook ads, that's a great initial ad to run to have that video testimonial, especially. Get that in front of people before you try and convert them to a lead even. So that's another great use of it. But yeah, there are tons of ways. You can use them in your follow-up emails to prospects as well. So your sales team can use them. They're really endless possibilities.
Oh, and Ken has a question here. He says, do you
Oh,
think this should be done by mail, email, or a direct conversation? I think he's referencing
to
when you solicit them.
yeah,
I think that's what he's asking.
I think any of these are good.
Hmm.
I think yeah, because they could be done at different times. You could use a mix of these. I could definitely see where trying to catch someone in the moment would be nice, but they're not always going to be ready to do it right then.
Sure.
So, for instance, at the end of a class, they're probably not going to feel like they're ready to jump on camera with you. So you might catch them in that happy moment at that point and say,
Hmm.
hey, I'd love to follow up with you. And maybe we schedule a time to do a video.
Sure.
Maybe next class before before we start, before class, when you're in good condition and you're not all sweaty and we haven't just did
Right.
a workout. Um,
Well, if somebody's after weight loss and they see the sweatiness,
yeah,
might be
I mean,
great.
really, if people are comfortable with it, I mean, go for it. But they
Of
may
course.
say no at that point. Um, so in that case, what I would do is try and schedule something with them right then. Like put it on the calendar, send them an email to follow up. And then at that point, you can decide if you want to try and do it in person at your facility,
Hmm.
or you want to do it virtually. And either works. If you're doing it virtually, just take a quick look at some options that are low cost but decent quality. Um, Facebook Live can actually be decent quality, or Google Hangouts or Zoom. Those all have free options that you can record with, and you can do it interview style, or you can ask them to record kind of their dialogue on their own and send it back to you. Um, I find that interview works well because it's an organic, a real conversation.
Hmm.
And it's a little easier for them. They don't feel like they're having to memorize their answers, which it can
Right.
feel like that to them.
And a couple weeks ago, we just spoke about unique ways to use Event Manager. And one of the things I
Yeah.
actually do suggest to clients who have Event Manager is to create a form for soliciting testimonials or referrals or something of that sort,
Mhm.
because it's an easy way to follow up with, if it's somebody that is hard to catch, or they come right before class, or they have to leave right after, and you have that moment with them after class briefly. And you could always say, even though it's not, we want video, you could always, follow up with an email that says, hey, you were a rock star in today's class. I'm so happy for you. I know we got to speak briefly, but while it's on your mind, if you'd like to, click this link, which would be, to an event manager form that you create
Yeah.
specifically for that reason, and provide a little bit of feedback regarding your experience, you can actually line it up with those questions, and they can drop it right in there, and then you would receive the email that way
No,
for it
you're
as well.
right.
And
And
you could even set
some
a
people,
time in the form to record a video that might be convenient for them.
yeah.
They can just, select what day and time would be good for them. And then that way, there you go. You have a commitment, you have something in writing, and now you have a commitment for a future video as well, you know?
Yeah, and you're making a great point, and keep in mind something is better than nothing here. So
Of
if
course.
the
Hmm.
answer, and some people will say that I don't want to do a video under any circumstances. I don't care
Yeah.
when it is, or how
Yes.
far in advance I know I'm not going to do
Sure.
it. And in that case, don't push it. Just that's fine. That's great.
Of
I'd
course.
still love your feedback. And here's my form. And you're right. And you don't want to be creating that form in that moment. You want to have it set up, ready to go with your questions. You can have them, and you can still invite them to send a video or a picture or anything they want.
Sure.
But yeah,
Hmm.
just preload those questions we talked about right into your event manager
Hmm.
form. It's a great idea.
Excellent. Ken had another question here. It looks like he said he recently asked his parents and students to please share something that they enjoy about our program with others on our Facebook page or Google page. It has
Mm.
been a slow get. My feedback has been positive, but the follow through has stalled. To me, this sounds like something where you might want to start incentivizing people a little bit. If you're
Yeah.
it's kind of like equivalent to cold calling at this point, right? So
Right.
you might need something to kind of kickstart the process a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I would say there are maybe two things you could try in this scenario. One would be an incentive. And the incentive is the way that I think about incentives for testimonials. People are going to give a testimonial because they feel strongly about your program and they believe in it. That's the reason they're doing it. But other things might get in the way. They might not feel they have time. They might not know how or when, or, there might be some other barriers. So by giving that incentive, $25 gift card, uh, a guest pass, a free class, whatever
Right.
fits your
Right.
business,
Mhm.
right, whatever fits your business, that will just help them get over those barriers. It's still going to
Mhm.
be the people who believe in your program. That's always who it's going to be. It's really just about making it a little bit easier, taking a little bit of that weight off of them to allow them to do
Mhm.
it. Um, so incentives are one thing you could try. And then the other thing might be maybe if the ask was actually to tell us about something you enjoy about our program, I wonder if asking what are some of the results you've seen, or maybe your proudest moment, or your favorite thing, or um, even getting specific, your favorite moment from a class, which instructor had an impact on you and why. These things will all give you the end result of a testimonial, but it refocuses it on their experience and maybe gives them something specific to think about. Sometimes if the
Mhm.
question is too vague, like if you remember the questions I said earlier, the beauty of those and questions like that is that they're slightly leading. I'm prompting you to tell me about your struggles and about your specific results. I'm not
Sure.
saying what's it been like, because that's too general. I'm not going to get the answers I'm looking for.
Mhm.
So if you give them something specific to talk about, you're a little more likely to get a strong response and
Right. And
testimony.
kicking off with a happier thought too, and kind of
Mhm.
rekindling those happier thoughts is going to help guide the emotion as they're
Yeah.
flowing through the rest of it.
Oh, totally. And that at the end of the day is what other people who aren't yet members, who don't know your business yet, those are the types of things they're looking for. They want to know
Sure.
that it was fun, that it's not intimidating, that you can be trusted, that they will get
Yeah.
the results they want. Those are the
I
things
think
they
that's
want
the
to know.
greatest point too. And to kind of tether back on what you said, go back to what you said earlier about getting them earlier on too, is I am sure that, anybody who views this can kind of figure like the hardest thing is to actually get somebody in there. Not because of anything about your business or anything that you're offering. It's about insecurities and the unknown. And you got to start kind of removing those
Yeah,
barriers ahead of time with these testimonials. So that way they feel like it's safe. They feel like it's a comfortable place to come to. Because I know dealing with my son, he was very nervous, almost hiding behind me when we first
um,
walked in, because he was nervous. He didn't know what to expect.
right,
Watches all these movies where sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're shouting,
right,
and
right.
he didn't know what to make of it, no matter how many times I reassured him that it would be okay. So even for adults have these same insecurities. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can have other people tell their stories from earlier on in their experience, it's gonna start breaking down some of those insecurities and those types of
Right.
barriers ahead of time. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully one of those works for you, Ken. But curious to know your results if you try either of those. Good luck with
Yeah.
it.
So just wrapping up here, is there any other general advice or tips that you'd like to offer um, during this
See,
anywhere in this process, like the best way to record a video or anything that might be
I can
helpful
give
in
a
addition.
couple of quick tips on videos. Um, and certainly you can do a lot more with this, but just if you're getting started and you're unsure of maybe what to record with or how to judge the quality and how to make it a little more professional. A couple of tips that I have are don't be afraid to use your phone. Most phones have great cameras now, so there's not much risk there. Go ahead and use it. Just follow a couple of rules. Um, don't use the selfie cam. They've improved those, but it's still not the best quality. So use it the regular way. Um, Try and get someone to help you. Keep the camera steady. Prop it up or buy an inexpensive stand for it. You can get a little tabletop one or a tripod if you want. But you don't need to buy an expensive camera or anything like that. Um, if possible, unless you're outside at an event or something, try and record inside. Um, Make note of your lighting. You don't have to go crazy, but just take a look at the environment around you. Look at it on the camera. Make sure that you can see people's faces, and it's decently lit. Um, don't sit in front of a window. You'll be backlit. It'll actually be harder to see your face. I know that can seem like an appealing background, but it can actually really mess with the light and make it harder to see the video.
And if
Um,
there's people walking by, it can be
yeah,
distraction during the video
yeah, you might get
too.
something
Yeah.
back that you don't want. Yeah.
Mhm.
So those are some quick tips. And then, if I were going to do this and really wanted to make a big push for more testimonials in a facility, what I might consider is set up a little area where you've got maybe two chairs, a little coffee table, and if you have a banner from your booths, go ahead and just put that up and just leave it up there. You probably don't use it very much anyway. This will get you some more use out of it, but it probably has your logo and some of your advertising on there. And just use it as a backdrop and just have that set up so that if you catch a person in that spontaneous moment where they seem like they're in the right mood and they're available to do a video, you can say, let's go over to our little recording studio here.
Sure. Move a
And
snack out to lure them in with the snacks.
right. Right. Even if you have an incentive, have your little gift cards right there, ready to go.
Sure. Yeah.
Have your little setup. And when you're not using it, people can always hang out there. So that's something
Sarah
to
made a good
consider.
point here too. She said also tracking the reasons they started and referencing those when asking client signups because they want to lose weight. Ask every few months how that's going.
Mhm.
Hit the milestone when they're discussing their own victories. A testimonial will flow, and that's actually a very good point because I think like I work with a lot of clients, over the 17 years that I've been here, and that's something that isn't done very well in a lot of facilities. I find is they never go back to that initial urgency, the initial reason why they joined, to kind of keep that emotional response open with that initial challenge or goal or whatever it is that they have. And I agree, Sarah, that's super important to do.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a larger lesson there that goes far beyond testimonials, which is a great
Of
one
course,
of
yes.
focusing on that original goal and those original needs. But how great would that be if you've checked in with them every few months and on their journey to hitting their goal, and now you've got a little bit of video at each checkpoint. I think that would be great. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of doing that. That'd be amazing.
Really cool. Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
So I think that was pretty much everything that was on my mind today. I know we've gone through a lot of this and it's very useful information. And I like being able to pick your brain for once. So
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.
yeah, it's great and a lot of information, a lot to think about. And it's a very powerful tool for martial arts and fitness businesses. So thank you, Miranda, for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to close it out here, that's all we got on testimonials today. Um, but check back on our page here. We're doing these videos every week, each time with a new tip for everyone to build your business and your community in various ways. We're open to your ideas as well. If you want to send us topic ideas or questions, please go ahead and do that. You can comment on this video or send us a message on the Member Solutions Facebook page. And as Kristen mentioned, if you do want to try to capture testimonials or additional feedback through forms in Event Manager, we can help you do that. We'll help you get set up. Just send us a message at Member Solutions Facebook page, or you can check us out at membersolutions.com.